So our mission, we are, like I said, organized a nonprofit for charitable purposes. We're currently established in Illinois. We're currently pursuing our 501c3 federal nonprofit status. We raise funds and awareness to support community-based projects for the benefit of society, the environment, and individuals alike. They can vary in type and scale. Like I said, we can work with public institutions. It could be a school district or a park district or even a nonprofit. And the projects themselves can vary, but they have fall under our criteria of the advancement of society, education, humanity, relief for underprivileged individuals and communities, reducing the burden of government, which is actually straight from the definition of 501c3 nonprofit kind of criteria, and then also support and encourage the application of clean energy technologies.
Our business overview is we're basically our web-based program. We are a crowdfunding source, so any source of funds we allocate are through our website, HowDoWe.org. What we do, we were incorporated in September 2015 of last year. Clients, so like Mike said, public schools, park districts, transportation, and other nonprofits with similar goals. How we raise funds is we retain a percentage based off the market analysis of the projects that we align with the organization. So basically more in detail with that is how we raise our funds. It's allocated through the organization and how we align up with the client's projects that they have specifically chosen.
Yeah, so for instance, say if there's a classroom that needs more computers or like any kind of upgrade, or even like a building upgrade for a school, say in Chicago, that's not receiving funding, they raise $10,000 and we would take a percentage anywhere between 10 and 15% depending on the size of the project itself. So like I said, our platform is our website, which actually just last week was initially put up and viewable for the public. So now we are currently working with the school districts and other clients to kind of start aligning those projects, and then they will be displayed on our website. And then so that way anyone it's following along with the kind of crowdfunding models of other sources like GoFundMe or Kickstarter, we connect directly with individuals. They can search via like a map on our website of whether it's local or national, and kind of pick which projects they want to contribute to, if they would like to. So we kind of break it down into two sides of our value proposition. To the organization or the institutions, we provide organizational assistance. So far in our conversations, we found that a lot of time, as much as we thought we were going to come in and have all great ideas of why don't we do a project like this, they are very much aware of where they need help and where would be really beneficial to kind of their organization. So we provide that assistance of kind of allowing just getting kind of organizing, putting together who's going to do it, how much it's going to cost, the budgeting, and then kind of break down all those costs. We provide the marketing services through our website, the platform to raise the funds, and then fostering relationships so that we were able to access both their network of supporters that they've gained, and then also kind of spread the word to the public through our organization.
And that's kind of a big thing too, is we quickly found out that schools always have these, I'm using schools as an example, a lot of them want these projects in mind funded. It's just time management is a big value proposition that we can offer. Some schools, our teachers are just doing this. They're launching a whole marketing campaign for a specific project. That's where we can come in and fully take over, launch a marketing campaign, basically take it off their plate. Once it's funded, we return it to them and the project's successfully completed.
And then to the donors, we kind of accommodate to them depending on what type of specific cause they're looking to support. They can do that through our website. Funding assurance is another big part that kind of as this idea came to be of wanting to be able to fund public projects. I literally started with me picking up the phone, calling different organizations and asking, why weren't using like a GoFundMe or something like that. And the reason is I mean, from the kind of legal perspective, they need to have contracts in place and different agreements between the organizations of, okay, so we're funding it, where's the money going to, you know, who's responsible for it, and kind of really break it down beyond just making a profile on say, a GoFundMe. So we provide that kind of added security both to the organization, but also for the donor. So you log on, okay, I want to know exactly, if I'm going to donate to this and I'm going to be taking this off my tax return, I need to know where it's going. And then that's kind of what our organization is, taking that step beyond to be able to work with these public organizations. And then obviously have choices. So kind of where we are in this process, we've got the website kind of started. We're starting to align with different organizations, institutions to identify projects, and then build a network of supporters. So for instance, our website is purely informational at this point, but we're still trying to get out in different kind of talks like this. Brian has been going around and speaking at schools to really try to garner that initial community outreach as we continue to expand, you know, and Brian can talk maybe a little bit about some of the projects you've been discussing in Bloomington.
Yep, so schools are really interested in this type of idea. As mentioned before, time management, just the budget in general in Illinois right now. Schools are pinching pennies and they're looking for an alternative to raise these funds. We're dealing with Steve Zyka out of Peoria. He owns a nonprofit called KidNets, and we're trying to work with him right now to implement KidNets into basically a whole new program in public schools. Kind of more of a social aspect of learning where students are weaving hats, like knitting hats, but the idea behind it is teaching students that what they can do here reaches third world countries that are supplying the yarn. So it's kind of a global effect, more of a social impact.
And then also looking to secure workspace. So right now, Brian is here in Bloomington. My background is in finance. I worked for 2.5 years for an investment bank in Chicago, and now I'm an MBA student at Loyola full-time. And you know, talk maybe a little bit.
I'm currently a student at Illinois State University pursuing a degree in business entrepreneurship. I should be graduating fall 2016. Previously, I was in the United States Army as a cavalry scout. So when I got out of the Army, I decided to come to Illinois State because of the business programs, and Mike and I kind of brewed up this idea, and we just started running with it, and it's been everywhere we've gone is positive feedback, like the idea. So we're really looking to expand our network, marketing efforts towards getting people to know about our website, things such as that.
And kind of focused around both Bloomington and Chicago for us. And yeah, at this point, if anyone has any questions or anything,
We can also pull up the website. It's up now. We are missing certain things, like Mike mentioned. It's really informational right now. But sometime, hopefully by the end of this week or the start of next week, it should be fully functional.
Do you guys have a Facebook page too?
Yes.
Okay. I think I was trying to look, how do we do, I kept trying to key that in. I was trying to find you guys. But it's how do we?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, how do we? And then, so the basic structure, I mean, it kind of talks about our criteria, our background, but what's missing is soon it'll have a projects page where you can specifically go and view all the projects, search for different types of projects, and it'll actually, the organization that built the website for us, it'll have some added functionality like you can come in and create a profile, nothing more than kind of your personal information and financial information. If you wanted to be kind of a recurring visitor to the site and be able to contribute continuously, not have to plug in your financial info every time. So it's we're trying to make it kind of as user-friendly as possible as we start to get these projects, which we think within the next few months we'll have our first few kind of added onto the website, and then hopefully building some kind of momentum from there as we continue to add more.
Have you done any research or do you have any ideas of kind of what the ideal project size is gonna be, as far as dollar amount you're trying to raise for the project?
So, down in, Mahomet, we've been in contact with the school, and, Illinois State actually, I've been in close contact with Missy Nergard, sustainability officer. ISU wants to do a outdoor horticulture center, which I believe they're already I do know they have funds for it already. They want to use us in phase 2 of it, where, when these initial projects we're looking for, just due to the fact that we're new and we don't want to take off something that we potentially could fail at funding. So we're looking anywhere with these first projects from $5,000 to $20,000.
Okay.
But eventually we want to be able to, you know, I mean, once we really start building a network and kind of have a lot more followers, we would definitely be looking to take on much larger projects.
And then will it be tied to like a deadline, like you have 30 days to raise the amount of money, or?
It doesn't necessarily, it'll all depend on the actual entity itself, if it needs the funds by a certain time, and that's where we would have to come to an agreement with them. And the way we've been discussing it with them is that we would have it'd be on a best efforts basis through a timeline that they would decide, 6 months, a year, 2 years. And then at the end of it, anything that we've raised will go to them at the end of that deadline, whether or not it's the full amount or part of the amount. That way, it's
So as the donor, that would be explicitly stated that
Yes.
even if we don't hit the goal, the money is still gonna go towards this project.
yes. And then as a part of our agreement with the entity, that if we were to not fund, say we've only funded at 50%, it would have to be in our written agreement of what those funds, say if it's a large piece of machinery, you can't half fund that and then, you know, give them the money and they can't buy it.
Half a machine.
So we'll have to kind of have it set up in place to where it'll still in some way go towards whatever the cause was, and then be, you know, still kind of have that social impact with whatever amount of funds that we get to, you know, kind of like 25% basis, 50%, 75%. And we've received good feedback there too, as well, that they would be okay with that, depending on, and it all depends on the project, of course. But and that would also be stated on the website, you know, so that to the donor, it's all full disclosure.
And to add on to that, also with the important part of what we wanted to communicate with donors is that we're ensuring that whatever dollar you donated is going towards that project through these formal agreements. Rather than someone simply just writing a check to a school as a donation, you don't necessarily know where that money is going. This is where
It's tied to a specific
Right.
project.
I'm just curious, we've talked about the idea, I think it's really great, but, and you guys may have answered this in the presentation, but how is HowDoWe different from GoFundMe, or like, I think Indiegogo now has just a special, you know, category for like kind of social donation sort of projects?
Well, one of the big differences between especially GoFundMe is GoFundMe, you could go on, make an account, and it's on that website. It's up to you to do the marketing efforts. It's up to you to get it known that you are trying to raise these funds. With us, this is something that Mike and I will be coordinating with the public entity. It's between the public entity and HowDoWe. And once it's aligned with our organizational goals, making sure everything's aligned, that it fits our character as a 501c3, that's when we put it on the site and start our marketing efforts towards it. So it's more of a, we specifically choose these projects to come to agreements
It's
on.
gonna be specific, kind of curated projects by you guys, not just anyone can just throw
Right.
everything.
Exactly.
And that's why we wanted to be, you know, GoFundMe, I keep using GoFundMe as an example. You go on GoFundMe and like the hot one going around right now is Kanye West, get Kanye West out of debt. It's something that, you know, anyone could go on there and post something like that. This is something that we want to communicate with, especially a community, is that we want to show that we are helping a community, not just an individual.
Right.
And as a 501c3 federal, I mean, once we obtain our 501c3 federal nonprofit status, 100% of all donations through our organization, whether, I mean, the public entity and the nonprofits themselves would be not technically nonprofit, but 100% of the donors' dollars would be tax deductible, not necessarily to the specific project, but also through us as an organization. So it's and in my the initial kind of probes of the different organizations that I started calling, and when I asked, why aren't you using these other ones, and they said it just isn't really geared towards us. How it comes off in public image is not what we're looking to do, and that's how kind of like, okay, if you had a specific organization that only worked with these types of organizations and represented you in that way, would that be something you'd use? And they're, oh, definitely, yes, that's something that we would love to start using. And so that's where we're trying to really fill that niche specifically.
Very cool. Well, the thing I was thinking too, hearing this was that I think one of the problems with Indiegogo and these other ones is that there's so many that for a donor or for someone who wants to contribute, you have to sort through all this stuff just to find something that interests you. And it seems like what would be interesting with you guys is building this network of people and saying, hey, this big group gave to this school project in Bloomington, they might also be interested in giving to one next door in Normal or in a neighboring city.
Exactly. And that's really our, how we, ideally like to expand is exactly in that way. Start out in something like Bloomington, get the community to itself be involved, but also if there's businesses that are involved in kind of the cause as a whole, to be able to take that and just start to kind of build on it in all the different communities.
And kind of a cool feature, it's not on here currently, it will be, it's basically just a Google map. Basically we want to drop pins wherever these projects are completed. Kind of just show, community strength of, you never know if one community is doing well, that it could inspire the next community and so forth.
What is your, so how are you, the marketing part of it, when you're saying these projects come up, how are you going to market? How are you going to expose people to what each project is and why they should be even, have an interest or why they should invest in that?
So, it'll be kind of a multi-tiered approach. First off, we want to dominate really on the digital side of social media, SEO marketing and email marketing, things like that, which is kind of what, as we're going around building a network now with individuals and organizations, but kind of our tiering processes. First, we're going to look for business organizations that can align with us in the project itself, depending on providing materials, providing funding for it. And then, that will literally be us marketing it directly, but working with the public organization to identify these potential donors and potential providers within the community, outside the community. And then from there, we'll use our other, as we continue to build a following on our newsletter, and then different kind of going around talking like this, we'll contact individuals. We do plan on, we're currently working with an agency called the Ocean Agency. They built our website, and they'll be helping us with the online marketing presence as well. So we will be working with them closely.
Have you thought about the accountability side of this for you guys? So once you've listed the project, you've raised the funds for the project, you've handed over those dollars to the entity, and then is that school or whomever or you guys, how do you kind of report back to the donors that we did this thing with your dollars?
So that's where we want to basically social media would be a great tool that we want to utilize in that scenario where we want videos, email updates, photos of the project completion, and then through the funding process, there's basically a bar that will show to the goal, like the percent that you're at.
In terms of liability though, it would be, and we've made this very clear in communicating with the organizations so far, that so we get to the funding roll, hand it over, from there we're not involved in the execution. That is on them, a contractual obligation on them to be able to, based on what they said, how much, what the funds are going to go to and what they said they were going to do with it. And beyond that, at that point, like Brian's saying, we simply report back on the results and obviously try to stay on them to stay on whatever schedule they said they would in terms of project completion. But beyond you know, beyond that, there's the liabilities mostly on them to be able to complete it.
Are you looking at any particular vertical market or any particular, like, are you just mainly schools, you're gonna do mainly, or is it gonna be a certain area that you're gonna try to focus on more than another right now, or?
Initially, schools. We've been having the most traction with them. I mean,
Been positive feedback with schools. Every school we've met with, principals, superintendents, so there's been positive feedback. ISU, for example, they for sure want to utilize us. So as right now, this is the stage where we're working on forming a formal agreement with them. So
yeah, with Illinois being in the state that it is, so a lot of, I mean, then that's where we figured out that they have a lot of projects kind of in the backlog that just, they, you know, kind of wasn't as high on the priority list to get funding from the state, and that's where we're kind of working on it.
I'm part of something called Promise Council, do you know what that is? It's through my kids' school at the elementary level or whatever, but they, I mean, you guys would be somebody that, if this would, they're looking for funds, like, to support what they're doing. They get business owners in the community to come and just donate their time, you know, encouraging the kids to think about college. You know, plant that seed for them at the 5th grade level before they go into junior high, and at the end of the year, they do graduation at Heartland. But to do all the things that we do throughout the year, you know, that costs money to do the things, because it's just volunteers and going out to the businesses and doing these little field trips and things that, of course, you know, the state doesn't pay for and stuff. So is this something like I could approach you guys, or part of the committee come and ask you guys?
Is it also a 501c3?
I don't know.
Yes.
Is it?
It is. Okay, then, yes, all we would have to do is make sure that, kind of it sounds like that would fit very well with our criteria, and yes.
That's really cool.
may I ask what school district it is?
It's McLean County.
McLean County.
So Promise Council, my son's at Pepper Ridge, so this program's been around, I don't know, 6 years or something.
I think
like
there
that.
are more than one Promise Council.
Yeah, but it's at some other elementary schools, and, I mean, it's a really cool, you know, it's parents and teachers that are volunteering their time to do this for the
Absolutely.
kids. But then this is like the time of year where they're like, we're responsible for trying to get out the letters, to try to get some money and stuff. And I'm like, okay, we ask.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's those are things we want to focus on, especially in the positive feedback in the Bloomington Normal area with schools. We eventually want to get all the schools in this whole
That
community.
is really, that's
Yeah.
really cool.
Oh, we can give my card at the end.
Yes,
I love that.
okay, I love that, thank you.
One thing you might consider, in working with higher education, and so, you know, most universities have a development and advancement office and alumni relations. And so all of those offices are also targeting specific donor groups. So I'm just, in my mind, thinking, if you guys are tied to a specific project, just kind of making sure that all of those other silos of the university are also aware, so you're not like, so you guys aren't reaching out to Mr. Smith to help buy the equipment for the university business program, but advancement is already contacting them quarterly to make sure they're gonna up their donor amount because they've sponsored the business school for the last 20 years, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
just kind of make sure all of that, everybody's patting the right backs in the right order and not.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And as we kind of, we have it broken down into business development and then project managers, and that's a part of it as we come to terms on the specific project. I kind of sit down and where we break, I would say like the multi-tiered kind of process of here's who we'd identified that we think these would be really good for, you know, to provide donations and kind of thing. And that kind of hopefully give us an opportunity for kind of align on those, like you said, align with avenues. So definitely something we would keep in mind.
Do you guys consider like projects outside of Illinois, or is the focus more within the state right now?
Definitely would focus, we would be able to focus outside Illinois.
Is that contingent on that 501c3 status, or are there obstacles to that?
Yes, and we anticipate that being anywhere from 4 to 6 months to get that approved by the IRS.
But then you could basically nationwide though, like wherever there was a project that would pop up.
Potentially international if we at some point designated ourselves as such. So our goal is to be in every major city, and I mean, because these are the type of projects, especially in, highly populated areas that, the whole community kind of pitch into, kind of following along the other models of other kind of crowdfunding sources.
So do you guys go to like the big companies like, and if I gloss over this, and this is when you said it, that have social responsibility, right? So the big companies, that's what you're taking the initiative to do that, to go get those monies?
Oh, yes, exactly.
That's-
If there's a project that really fits with their, with their kind of what they, at least what they say in terms of they support, we're kind of really trying to go out, especially within the public realm, because this is something that we see as having a major economic impact as well as social, that, if we say it on the website, that like if a school district gets more, more funding and classrooms are better, students do better, real estate prices go up, people are being able to deduct it from taxes, spending goes up, we're really trying to kind of bring in the whole picture. And then also, from the corporate perspective, it fits in there as well.
Because I started to research that a little bit. I have a friend who is involved in nonprofit in Chicago, and she was telling me all these things that are available at these companies that people, well, there's such a process to go through to get it.
Mm-hmm.
It's overwhelming.
And
Fill out all the paperwork and all that kind of stuff.
And we also,
I don't always have time to do that.
Right, they don't know about it.
Mhm.
But there's money set out there in all these companies that for their social responsibility. That is really cool.
I was just gonna tie into that, we found out quickly that there's a lot of companies that are looking per year to donate, at least some percentage to charitable contributions. And they just don't have a source to really do it, or for time management, so, we wanna be that connect for some of these bigger corporations that have that small percentage that they want to get rid of, they just don't know how.
I think it's really cool.
Have you considered, you mentioned schools are, the primary place where you're getting some traction. Have you considered, at least initially, sort of niching down to something like that and say, we're only going to work with schools until we figure out, all the intricacies of the problems that comes along with this before expanding it to other organizations? I'm just curious, because it is such a complicated concept, I could see it getting bogged down when you have one school that have these kinds of problems and you're working with, some kind of organic farming operation and they have all these kinds of problems and you're stuck trying to navigate like what's the commonalities and how do you make it efficient for both.
Right. I can definitely say we're focusing right now on schools. We don't want to, kind of pigeonhole ourselves in terms of really, I can see the benefit of going out and saying, this is what we do, we only work with schools, but, eventually we hope to expand beyond that, but that's not to say that, like right now, between our kind of objectives, we are focusing almost primarily on schools for that exact reason, sure. And, it's just not, and I mean, if other projects were to come up, we'd entertain them depending on kind of those, complexity, but, I don't want to say we turn anything down necessarily, but we are focusing on schools. Yeah.
Cool.
And a big part of that is we want to give donors choices. I'm sure everyone wants to help schools, but maybe you're more focused in clean energy, and we have a project specifically for that. So it's kind of we just want to give more options to people. But like Mike said, specifically right now, it's schools that are kind of we're just running into is attracted to the idea.
So I don't understand how nonprofit works. So how do you guys make money then? You make from the company?
So the initial funding amount that we would come to terms on, say if it's 10,000, we would just
Take a percentage of that,
yeah, and then so after the project has been, say the full 10,000 has been funded, like that, so that includes already taking out, say, our 10%, and that full 10,000 is then just handed over to the public entity, and we're compensated and they receive funds, and that compensation would go towards marketing of future projects. We were kind of building a team.
I'm sorry if I said this and you're repeating it. Something's like 1,000 people.
Oh,
You might want to
no problem.
Any other questions?
Yeah, thank
Well-
you very much for having me.
One last question. We close all 1 million cups this way. What can 1 million cups do for you gentlemen?
I think really just, I think in terms of helping kind of support us in terms of the community, and following us, continuing to come back and kind of see what we've got going on. If there's any specific kind of connections in terms of schools or different projects that you might be aware of, we're all ears and willing to work with you.
Excellent. I think you'll join me in a round of applause for these gentlemen. Very much.